Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
Tristan Walter.
Yes, and today we are doing, for an Saturday, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 2. Yeah, we split it up. Yeah. So 19 to 26. So we're kind of wrapping up Season 1, and we're wrapping up Part 2. And holy crap, this show...
You're damn right.
This show revved up, Tristan. Now, of course, there's some stuff I didn't like. I mean, that just comes with the territory when we do this show. There's always something that I'm not the biggest fan. No, that's fine. You can go fuck yourself. That's okay. You didn't have to, but you can go fuck yourself. But just because it's something I don't like doesn't mean that it's bad. I think just like, honestly, this season, and I can't comment on 3, I can't comment on 4, i.e. parts 3 and 4, technically seasons 2 and 3. But I can't comment on the other seasons. But this one felt like, even though, okay, so I've been reading more of the manga. I finished Part 1. I didn't finish Part 2 yet. It seems like Part 1 was adequate. I don't think it was rushed compared to how long it was in the manga. But reading Part 2, I don't know. For some reason, it does feel a little bit rushed. And granted, I'm not saying it deserved the full 26. I just think that for some reason I guess it got 15. Yeah, because it got 10 to, well, technically 16, 17, I guess. I don't know. For some reason, it just felt, not rushed. It just feels a little bit incomplete, I guess. Like, I feel like reading the manga, I'd feel more about Zeppeli's kid's death, Caesar's death, than I do when watching it. Now, I felt bad because I didn't expect it. So I'll give them that. But I don't know. There was something that was missing, even though I will admit that I cried. But there was something that was missing.
I died.
What are you doing? What?
Calling out my fallen friend's name, Matt.
I'm confused. What's going on here? You died? No, Caesar died.
Yeah.
So, Tristan, are you okay?
Just keep going. Got to roll with Tom
I'm asking.
On that.
Well, I got to ask how you feel about this, Tristan, because you also watch this show. So, Tristan, I don't know what you're doing. If this is a bit, can you just tell me how you feel, Tristan? I'm so confused. I'm more confused than Cars, and I feel like I'm not as infinitely super, but
And your next line will be.
Yeah, no, but still, so how do you feel? Because I feel like you're going to come from a place that's a bit too biased and you're going to like it too much. But I want to hear your biased opinion, because my opinion is biased as well. All of ours are. So I want to hear your biased opinion, Tristan.
But you can also...
Next you're going to say, go fuck yourself.
Fuck yourself.
How do you always know? That was my favorite line, because I wanted someone to, like, even though he didn't really clarify, I kind of liked how by the end they really kind of pulled back the curtain and was like, look, JoJo's like, I got lucky, but if he thinks that I actually thought about this, it'll really piss him off.
Oh.
Like that. Well, no, because you need that, though, because for the longest time I sat there and I'm like, okay, honestly, how does he know and how does he And granted, it is a little bit weird how he doesn't know what they're going to say next, to be fair, but the idea of like, oh, this plan always working. No, he's just thinking of like 50 plans. He just got lucky and that one worked. Or if it didn't work, then he goes on to the next one.
Yeah.
So, like, he thinks ahead, but, like, at the same time, it can still fuck up. Like, he doesn't think of the one plan that's, like, the perfect plan. No, JoJo's constantly fucking up. It's just we don't see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but what's your opinion on these 9, more than 9 episodes? Well, actually, no, yes, these 9, because technically 10. No, 8, 70? I don't know anymore. We do so much on the show, Tristan. How do you feel about these episodes, 19 to 26? How do you feel about these?
I mean, you already stated how I'm just going to say it's great, so what's the point of even sharing my opinion? No. I really did enjoy the wrap-up to the series. Oh, God, when JoJo, when Joseph is falling back on the rock after fighting cars and sending him into space, which was beautiful. It's like, yep, well, Earth can't destroy him, so you know what? Send him out into space.
Yeah, I liked it because season 1 felt like they kind of jumped the shark, kind of like went over the top. You would think that in season 1, or at least with part 1. But I'm really happy that in part 2 they went even further, kind of telling you like, don't worry guys, this is gonna get even weirder from here. Like, even though this is this is weird. Don't think it's not weird just because, part 1 was weird, but it only had vampires. Just buckle up. We're in for a fucking crazy ride. I enjoy that they... Yeah.
If you want to see weird, before I had even seen part 2, a friend of mine actually showed me an image from part 2, and it was when Cars turns his hand into a squirrel, and the squirrel starts burrowing through the soldiers. I was just like, excuse me?
Love Monty Python.
Just hearing von Stronheim, look out for the squirrel!
Fucking what? A sick... I've never rooted for a squirrel to kill Nazis.
But...
I've never thought, man, I want that squirrel to kill Nazis. I've never... And I have to admit, that's one of my problems. I want to let you finish what you liked, but that is one of my problems. The fact that in the first few episodes that we did of part 2, it felt like, okay, we're getting some Germany. We're seeing that Stronheim's a dick, but we're not maybe he's not one of the people that's trying to, I don't know, we talked about some people are just kind of, when it came to that era, right, you couldn't just say no.
Yeah.
If you were like, no, I don't want to be a random guard in this building and work with the Nazis, just to be a guard, not to actually kill anyone. I don't want to be this guard. Okay, well, we're going to kill you. So you kind of had to go with it. But the problem is that Stronheim is shown to be a dick in the early parts and a Nazi and is working in the science division, which is really creepy because it's it just gives you this really bad feeling of oh God, who else did he experiment on? At least to me anyway. And I know this was written in the 80s, but still, I don't know, for some reason just seeing it all this way, it feels really weird that we're no, Cars, don't kill the soldiers. It's no, you kind of nah, you're good. I feel now we want them to kill the soldiers, but at the time I don't know what the thought was supposed to be because were we supposed to want them to, and we were just rooting for JoJo? But then why would the what's it called? Why would the what's it looking for? The what's it called? The backup, right? We're calling in the troops. Why would those be Nazis? It's not something you want to root for. In my head, I'm you're trying to give off the impression of let them both take each other out. Cool. But there was always this feeling of, no, we should want Stronheim to live. Even at the end when they were showing where everyone was, they kind of, they had the sad music playing. And I'm guys, no, cut the music. I think it's time we cut the music, guys.
I mean, it was basically the ultimate case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Very true. That I'll admit to. Yes. No, that I'll admit to. Yes. At that point, we're all humans. The problem is that, I don't know if the manga maybe gets into it a bit more because, again, sometimes things are cut or changed up. I know that the anime, at least, didn't make it seem like he had an epiphany or change of heart. Literally, it was he died fighting for the Germans. It's good.
Yeah.
Fuck, do we have sad music in the background for? Good. And then they were while showing off German technology. Why are we laughing? That's terrible. Good, die. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I just feel because maybe when it was written and Japan has a different history with Germany than we do. In fact, for that reason alone, I'm surprised the anime got brought over. Just on that basis alone of oh yeah, by the way, the good guy works with the Germans. It's only for a few episodes, but still, good guy works with the Germans. Okay. Yeah. So how do you feel about the Germans in this? I mean, they were allies. Get out. I'm surprised they got brought over, going to be real with you. I don't know if that had toned anything down from the manga to the anime. But anyway, back to the good things.
I feel like
even
with Wamu, I mean, turning your enemy, like seeing your enemies having more of a having a part of them be respectful, even if you don't believe. Granted, it's much different with Wamu and Joseph's fight. It's an honor code between warriors. Granted, Wamu is still a vampire, and he's, killed plenty of people, and Joseph's like, no, I don't have any. Like Wamu says it the best. It's like, it's not that I hold any sentiment for you humans. It's just that I have my own honor code.
Yeah,
and that
but of
I
course,
live up to.
Yeah.
He only respects the strong. And Joseph's like, all right, you know what? You were a good opponent. I'm gonna salute you when you crumble away to dust. But I'm gonna spit on you after you crumble away into dust.
Yeah. Well, two things I want to mention. One, of course, and you said it is very different. You acknowledge that, and it's very different because Wamu isn't real. Yes, he killed God knows how many people, but Wamu isn't real. Second, when you said he appreciates the strong, that actually reminded me of World War II Germany. So we're going to move away from this topic, even though it's a topic it's hard to move away from when we're in World War II, time period, and Germans are right there helping. It's very hard to move away from it. We're going to move away from it just for the time being. Now, you were talking about things
that's why I laughed.
Now,
that's why I laughed when you were watching some of the episodes, and I was texting you about it. I'm like, Matt, don't worry. They're sending in the Germans with flashlights as backup.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't want either of these things as backup. Flashlights or World War II Germans. I don't want either one as backup.
Well, because Joseph even says it the first time when, Kars is attacking and trying to steal the stone. He's like, oh, von Stronheim and Kars in the same room, double surprise. It's like, he's back. It's like he's back from the dead. I don't know whether I should be thankful or mortified. A little of both, I guess.
No, I know. I do. I just think that they should have made a bigger deal about it. But again, I presume it's because of when it was written, and also maybe they were assuming that the characters wouldn't necessarily know about the atrocities. They know that they don't like them because they're Nazis, but not necessarily, or potentially not know the atrocities. I mean, I don't think 19-year-old Joe Starr would break out into a political debate. So I'll be real there if we have to put the time period and time frame into reference. But it is kind of a little disheartening they didn't put that. They just let it slide, or the original writer let it slide, and then the anime doesn't include something. But I wouldn't want it to add anything new for them to be like, man, they suck. Anyway, moving on to work with them. But it was a weird situation. It's a weird situation. That's all. So I'm happy in a way. Part 2's over only for that. Literally, it's the only part reason why I'm happy. Every other thing reason why it's over makes me sad because it was great in every other way. Right. I love the music. Although sometimes I felt like it was a little it would be better for a different show. Because in my opinion, out of nowhere, from part 1 to part 2, the music just shifted in a way that confuses me because with the beats and everything, I'm thinking, well, I know that eventually part 3 and part 4 take place in somewhat current day. Why would we have part 2, right, take place in World War II, around that time in the early 1900s, just with bow, 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 bow. It was so interesting and different to me. I don't know. I feel like it was in the same way that when we did, and we're still doing, but we're taking a little break from it, Star Wars Wednesday, right? When we were doing Star Wars Wednesday, and there was some music for Clone Wars, and we sat there and we thought, wow, good music. Not sure if it works in Star Wars. So I liked a lot of the music, but the ones that weren't necessarily, the tracks that weren't inspired by, had a very heavy Indian influence. I wasn't the biggest fan of them in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or at least in this. But
do you mean the theme for the Pillarmen, or?
No, the Pillarmen theme, the one when cars kept on coming back to life or didn't die. That was a beautiful theme. Like I said, that one was. It seemed very inspired by Indian, Indian music, and I loved it. Right. So that one I was good. Right. Even though I think that would potentially fit better in part 3 from what I've heard, but I still think it fit well in part 2. Yeah, I'm referring to more so some other tracks that were a lot more techno remixy.
Okay.
That didn't really, I was a little confused as to why they would be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, didn't fit the time period. Now, I'm not saying we should have completely had like jazz or anything like that, but it would have been nice to include something that wasn't just like bwop, 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 bwop.
Right. Okay.
So that threw me off. Yeah, this show, man, just the twists and turns. You know, so actually, one thing I really want to ask you about, big thing. So, do you think the deaths should have been flipped with Zeppeli or JoJo, or do you think JoJo should have died as well? Now, obviously, taking away the knowledge you have from part 3 and 4, because again, they can be rewritten if you feel differently. Like, how do you feel about a Joestar not dying?
But Matt, he did die.
Right, once or twice.
He died. They had his funeral. They were all there. You saw it.
He did die. What do you mean? He got married. So taking a hit at institutional marriage.
Telegram.
Oh, I forgot that. Oh no. My God.
They thought I was dead for the last 3 months.
Jesus.
Now there's no need to get upset. No need for the twitchy fingers. Spooky mechanical hands. Yeah, I know. Like it's funny. It's funny until my head was like, oh God, because it's weird. I don't know why I brought up like this idea of like he's gonna hit her, and I'm like, oh no, but I know that she's generally a timid person in general. So like obviously he's not gonna hit her, but like it gave some bad vibes until like it just gave some bad vibes for like 0.5 seconds. But like I know that they're just like this is the relationship they have. Like, honey, did you do this? I'm gonna take that as a no. They thought I was dead. Problem? But yeah, you know, it's kind of funny because when I saw the ring on her finger, I'm like, God damn it, they got married. But it's weird that they got married in like 2 weeks. But still, I mean, the time period
I know,
again, kind of. So
I know the time period, but still, I don't know. The time period mixed in with the fact that it's funny. When you look back at the time period, right, and even like 1950s as well, it's really funny, right? Because people go, why do people get married so early? And then there's a high divorce rate too that no one talks about. Why did that happen? Because Christianity told people you got to get married to fuck. And I'm being serious here. That's what it said. No, you have to get married, otherwise you can't do that because that's sinful. So what happened? People got married. Then they did that, and then they realized, hey, wait a minute. What is it, sweetie? We have nothing in common. I fucking hate you. And then they would get divorced.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's also the idea that, you know, you get enlisted and you go off. It's like you have no idea if you're coming back or not. So.
Oh, of course. No, but I mean, like, just, you know, heavy religion undertones gave off the idea that, like, oh, we can't do this unless we're married. I mean, that's what God says, and God is the law. So people would get married really, really early. So, you know, I don't know how Catholic Italy was at the time. I'm going to assume pretty Catholic. Pope lives there. So just, you know, basically just having JoJo like, so are we gonna have to put the ring on it? I'm in more ways than one. Ho. Where's Lisa? Like, literally, like, where's my mother? But what for sure, like, he didn't know that she was mom until like that moment, like in 26. So like, I got to be real with you, right? I have no problem with it being a twist that she's his mom. I thought about it for 0.5 seconds, and I thought that would be ludicrous. And then apparently Ludacris is writing it. So it's not a problem, right? My problem is that. Not that they sexualized Lisa. I mean, it is, but not sexualizing it like, oh, she can't be a sexy 50-year-old, right? Or sexy and be his mom. The problem is that they made him lust after her.
I mean,
what did you say?
I said Hamon.
Oh, I didn't hear. I don't care about ham. I'm just referring to. Sorry, man. Hispanic. Every time I hear Hamon, I just think of ham. Sorry, my bad. But no, but I'm saying that like she can be a sexy 50-year-old with Hamon or not. It doesn't matter how much ham she's put in her body. What matters is, I'm sorry, I didn't make one last podcast a joke about Hamon, so I had to get 2 in there. Anyway, I'm just saying that, like, the fact that he was trying to see her naked through the keyhole, like, damn, girl, you got some nice, oh, shit, you my mom. Oh, you my mom. Like, everything else around it could just be funny jokes, but that moment, I was like, I sat there and I'm like, come on, the writer had to know. Like, this is it.
Skywalker
like,
just
unless he's
walks
taking
up behind him like, it's okay, man. I kissed my sister. It's gonna be okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a Lucas situation. Like, he had to know while he's writing this weekly. Like, yeah, it's gonna eventually be his mom. If he didn't know, I'm not saying it's cool, but like it happens. We've excused Lucas for it, even though we've kind of called him out on it. But I mean, we don't sit there and say that the episode 4, 5, and 6 are trash, right? So we do excuse it to a certain degree. But I just feel like that shouldn't have been done. Every other scene where he makes fun of her or whatever, it's okay. And to be fair, he didn't go too crazy, where he wasn't like, damn, I'd slay that. Like, he didn't do anything like that. But the fact that he was just like, oh, she's taking a bath, let me look in it. And it's just kind of like, now that you know, it's like, that's your mom. It's kind of like, okay.
I'm sure he had a moment that you don't see, and he's just like retching into a toilet. Are you okay, honey? No, I will never be okay again.
I'm not, Mom. Also, the reason why I mentioned, again, a separate note on the whole, like, sexualizing Lisa. Look, I'm not saying characters can't be sexy, but it does feel like, again, like the scene where she's taking a bath and whatever. It didn't need to be shown, you know what I mean? Or if it wanted to be shown, again, tying it to JoJo makes it worse in a way. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, she can be sexy in her normal outfits. Like, it's not like a woman can't wear an outfit and then it turns out to be one that people find attractive. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a woman, you wear what you want to wear, right? But it is a situation where, like, her character did feel very sexualized at certain points. And then, of course, again, just tying it into the fact that, her son, which didn't know it was her, his mom, to be fair. But still, that all happened, and that was just like, ooh. But, the Hamon making her young is a good excuse to keep her young. Like, it makes sense, right? I mean, it's not like she's the first one that it happened to. It made, like, Straits and others look kind of young. I mean, Ton Petty was really fucking old, I believe. Yeah. Like, really old. So, yeah, I do wonder, though, where Lisa is going to be in the future, if she even is, because they mentioned all the normal people who are like, yeah, no, you died, but I do wonder what's going to happen with Lisa. We have seen future JoJo. Now, it's funny. Now I have to start saying Joseph versus Jotaro, because now I can't call him JoJo, because, yeah. I have to say, and please, you can argue with me if you want to. This is what the show's for. I think that this end, like the end to season 2, and I mean like the end, like, the whole thing with the plane, right? Right. That is the worst end to an anime season that I've ever seen. Now, I know you can't argue what I've ever seen, but let me explain why. I'm okay with, like, if, like, I'm not saying that the anime. End. What? No. Nothing. No. I know. She's some shit anime. No. What I'm trying to say is this, right? I'm not talking about the end, like, the fact that he didn't die, or them showing the deaths of certain people. No. Those all were great. But when it came to, like, let's jump to the future, to 1980s, right? And then let's show what seemed to be Joseph, right? Yeah. As an older man. Yeah. Yes, that is Joseph. And then just the random jab at the Japanese, which is not necessarily racist because a Japanese man wrote the manga. So, in my head I'm like, well, I guess it's not that bad if he's writing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's that.
I mean, it wasn't supposed to be an offhanded comment like that, but, like, hearing it now, it kind of seems a little, like, off. It's like, it's a little odd. But it's more the idea. Yeah. It's like, no, she married a Japanese man, and I haven't seen my daughter in years. Curse you! Just kind of trying to I don't know, put the blame on something else. Like, I can't blame my daughter for leaving for the man she loves, but at the same time, my daughter, why?
If it was narrated, that'd be funnier, but it would still be like in tone with the show. Like, he has not seen his daughter in years, for she married a Japanese man. Ow.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute, are you Japanese? Yes. Why'd you hit me? Like, I don't know. Like, okay, long, heavy-handed explanations do make the show funny, but I guess, I don't know, like that one didn't make the show funny because it was just like, my daughter, it's like, my daughter married a Japanese man, and now I'm angry. And I'm like, that's just racist. Yeah. But again, Japanese person wrote it, so I'm not gonna, like, I'm not holding, like, him completely, like, like, how dare he? Like, that's weird. Like, if someone writes that about Americans, but they are American, then, like, yeah, I'm not going to sit there and be like, how dare you, right?
Right.
But my problem with it is we go from that to then jumping to Jotaro, what seems to be in a prison of some kind. So, like, that's just a really, like, I don't know, like, that did not satisfy me. Like, oh, my God, I need to see Stardust Crusaders. Like, that did not do it for me at all. Like,
well,
I'm going to watch Stardust. What?
There should have been one scene in there that made you go, fuck, I need to watch Stardust Crusaders.
Which?
When they're in the Atlantic, hauling up a crate.
Yes. Okay, yes, of course. Yes. No, believe me, yes. I'm not saying, I know that from what I've heard anyway, I believe we're going to get a reappearance from It Was I, which that's his actually first name. It Was I, and then his middle name is Dio, and then his last name is Brando. I hear we're getting a cameo, if not a full-on recurring villain in It Was I, which is great, right? I love him. But it just, minus the crate, it just kind of, I don't know, I wasn't a big fan of this end. That's all I'm saying. Like, this end was made for people, in my opinion, who already knew what was coming and were anticipating it. If you are a brand new fan and you know nothing, I feel like minus the crate, there's no intrigue, there's mostly awkwardness. Because there's a Japanese thing, then there's the crate, and someone will be like, oh, shit. And then you're like, oh, shit, is that a new JoJo? Because he looks a lot like the other ones.
Yeah.
So I'll admit, yes. Like, the JoJo, to some, I guess, maybe like, oh, is that a new JoJo? But again, mostly left with awkwardness. So I think it was a really bad cut. Where, like, if we didn't see, what?
Well, one thing I would say is that, Part 3 had OVAs and a dub that had come over earlier. So, yeah, it is kind of tailored to people who know what's coming. So this was basically the next, like, it's like, we're going to redo Part 3. Here it is. Like, if you ever saw it before, like, we're back to it again.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it is
Fair
kind
enough.
of an idea that people have an idea of what's going on in a way. And I really don't consider that the end to the series. I know they don't show the Finn, Battle Tendency, Part 2 finished till the end of that. I kind of just look at that as like a teaser for the next season. Like the real actual ending to me is just when they go through everybody's, like, where they are now kind of thing, and like after that, like.
Oh, you're right.
But
I
know what you mean is
show
that being, the last thing you see before the show closes. It feels weird for you. So yeah.
So you know what? I'm sorry. You're very right, actually. So let me clarify, because you're right. They did show Finn, and then that's all a teaser, not just the Jotaro part, the part with Joseph as well. So that was the worst teaser I've ever seen in any show ever. I'll say that much then. Because, again, teasers are meant to make you go like, oh, my God, what's next? And when you give him dialogue like that, you're kind of like, okay. Again, Japanese man. Not saying it's racist, but it is awkward. We can all sit there and acknowledge that it's awkward. One thing that I found interesting, though, is that they jumped up to the 80s so quickly. Because, obviously, at the time that it was being written, that was pretty much, like, the present. So I wonder if the writer at the time thought that Part 3 would be the end. Now, I know Part 3 introduces some new things to the series, but still, it's very strange when you start off in the 1800s, and then by the time your Part 3 comes out, you basically go to present day.
Right.
So I do wonder what he was thinking by jumping so far into the present, because he could have been in the 50s. I mean, fuck, when you keep the character alive, he doesn't have to, you don't have to show his kid or anything like that, you know, like, or his grandkid.
Right.
I mean, you know, if you keep him alive, because I thought they were going to keep, I thought Part 3 was going to be a little bit different, and they were going to keep Joseph alive, but he was going to continue his adventures in Part 3, because I remember seeing some artwork where Joseph looked like, I don't even know if it was just Jotaro, but, you know, some of the character designs look similar. So I thought Joseph would be continuing his adventures sooner, not this long into the future.
Right.
But it was very interesting because, you know, you don't kill him, which, again, is like I asked you, how do you feel about not killing him? Do you feel like they broke a tradition? Or do you think, we'll wait till later to kill some more?
I mean, I feel like after, you know, Part 1 and Jonathan having his life cut so short, it was nice to see one of the and hearing all of, you know, hearing his father's story too, because holy shit. I feel like it was kind of just a nice nod to, like, no, his family finally gets to live a little bit more peacefully. Like, you know, this one gets to live. Finally. Yes,
because I'll admit, I know I might sound blood hungry or like bloodthirsty by saying this, and I apologize, but I have to be serious here. I want more Joestars to die in the future. I say that because it's very hard to say that the family has been hit with hardships if each and every one lives after this point. So,
I mean,
I would prefer some death, but, however, I'm not saying that I want
your windpipe and your heart and seeing most of your friends and family be slaughtered by vampires. I'd say I think I could mark that down as hardship, even if you do get to live.
Most? It happened to Zeppeli. He knew that dude for like 2-3 months. Now, granted, we love Zeppeli, and I'm happy that he did, but, like, that's the only one that died.
It hurt like fuck.
No, but you said friends and family. We have one.
Okay. I mean,
no offense.
Past-wise as well, but yes.
What?
Yes,
what happened?
We
Sorry?
only lose the one. Yes.
Well, actually, no. Technically his dad. Yeah, I think you just said that, right? Like, technically his dad. But, no, because if Lisa died, I'd be like, oh, my God. He doesn't have to die. He's already lost everything. But, like, honestly, like, Arena died peacefully. Like you said, thankfully everything was peaceful, which is nice, because Arena died peacefully, Speedwagon died peacefully. Although I have to say, it's the one problem with the show overall, is the fact that eventually, no matter who you love, when they time skip, they're going to die. And that really gets sad, because it's like, it's nice, you smile that, like, you know, Speedwagon didn't get ripped to pieces by, by the Pillar Men, right, or by Straits. Or by Nazis, honestly, fucking shit. But it's, you know, it is a little saddening, I guess, that, you know, you look at these characters and you're like, well, I want to be attached to them, and you can, right, if they're written well, but you eventually you sit back and you're like, eventually they're going to go though, and a new part will begin, and I'll have to connect to more characters. Like, it's okay to connect to, like, a new JoJo, right? You know that's coming, but it does, you know, kind of suck to have other characters pass on. And in a way, I think it was very smart for the creator to keep Joseph alive, because that might be the only person we see in Part 3. Like, I feel like Lisa will show up because, again, they didn't kill her off or didn't mention they killed her off. But we know Speedwagon's gone, Zeppeli's gone, and, you know, I feel like he was too young to make another one, but, I mean, so you never know in this case. You never know with the Zeppelis, right? So, you know, Caesar's gone, right? Yeah. And, what's it called? And we have, I'm thinking who else has sadly left us. I mean, Von Stroheim, thankfully. Smokey's a mayor, which is nice.
Yeah.
At least. But I don't know where he's going to be in the 80s, but, like, he was a mayor, like, you know, he eventually grew up to be a mayor, so that was nice. So maybe his kid can be around or something. He wouldn't be a Hamon user though, but I mean he can do something. It's still, I'm still very interested to see what's going to happen with Part 3 and who are we going to retain or bring back or whatever. I know we have that guy that was with Lisa. I can't remember his name. The guard.
Yeah, the instructor.
Thank you, the instructor. Yes. Potentially, descendants of his can show up as well. So yeah, I'm very interested in what the future can hold, and I'm very interested in the fact they didn't kill off a JoJo. I mean, again, I know it's not like he had lived a happy life. Of course, he thought both of his parents were dead and everything, and I get it, dude. Don't worry. But at the same time, it would be strange because think about it, right? Even if it's like, oh no, eventually Joseph dies or something. It's like, oh no, like a future JoJo is like, my grandfather died. But I mean, I wasn't around for that. And then my great-grandfather also died. But again, I wasn't around for that. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't sit there, Tristan, and mourn your great-great-grandparents' deaths. Like in a way where you're like, no, right? Yeah, you just look at your grandparents and your parents.
Right.
So, yeah, so in a twisted way, I hope that there's pain in the Joestar future. I feel terrible for saying that.
You should.
Fair enough. No, you're right. You're not wrong. I have to admit, though, one thing that I'm really sad about. I'm sad that Caesar died because, of course, everyone was like, "Oh, he died so soon." Like that's the whole point of it. Just like with the Joestars, Zeppelis also seemed to die, if not young, at least tragically, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sad that he didn't get to team up with JoJo more often. Like I wanted like them to go on like JoJo's, Brozar bro venture. Like I wanted some broing it up. And sadly we didn't get I'm sorry, why did I even say JoJo? Bros Brozar bro venture.
Oh god, okay.
Bro. But seriously, I wanted some of that. And I'm really sad that we didn't get that. Like just showing the two of them in Battle Tendencies opening. I was like, oh shit. But it didn't happen, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's just adding another, bit of fuel onto the fire. It's like, yeah, they never did get to fight back to back. They trained so hard together. And yet.
Yeah.
And even their last, the last bit of words that they exchange, like, yeah, I inadvertently insulted him and his family line, and I didn't mean any offense by it, but that's how he took it, and that's not part of the reason why he stormed off and he walked into a death trap.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel beautiful. And then he leaves me a gift. And that's like the thing too. Like Caesar and him didn't get along, and like Caesar could have his moments where he was kind of a dick. Then again, so did JoJo. I mean Joseph. So just him stumbling upon the blood bubble with his bandana and Wamu's ring in it, and even Caesar going, it's like, I'm not afraid to die, and I know Joseph puts on a brave face, but I know he's, scared on the inside. It's like, well, he has a death threat looming over him. I feel like anyone would be. But just the fact, he comes in and he picks it up and he's like, you son of a bitch. You got me this and you went and died. Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really disheartening. One thing I want to ask you though, right? So actually, no, before I even ask you, I want to say only thing I didn't like about the death, I think beforehand, is it felt avoidable. I don't know, something about the show made it feel like it was avoidable, that he didn't have to die. At one point anyway, it felt like that. After a while, of course, you're like, also the fact that like the show was built upon people one-upping each other, it did also feel like, oh, he's gonna, he's good, and then he wasn't, and then that was a problem, to me anyway. But one thing I want to mention, speaking of the one-upping, this is the question I want to ask you. So because this show seems to, or like even the manga, seems to be more comical, there seems to be a bit more, I think, like laughter involved when reading at how outlandish it is. Like I don't feel like it takes itself seriously, but I don't feel like it's meant to be like, like Dragon Ball Z, where it's like, no, you really have to understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, of course, the fate of the world is in their hands, yes, but something about it seems outlandish. You know what I'm saying? Like a bit different than like Dragon Ball Z or Yu Yu Hakusho or some other shows, right? So my question to you is that why do you think maybe that we can accept this kind of one-upsmanship versus something like Bleach or other shows that we kind of scoff at a little bit? Like, do you, because you accept the one-uppishness of this show. Like, every time it's like, oh, no, he almost, he died, but actually, oh, no, you're dead, but actually, right? So do you think maybe the outlandishness is why we accept it, or is there maybe another reason why this comes off as more approachable in its it's people one-upping each other versus in their fights versus, let's say, something like Bleach, where we kind of like groan a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try my best, but it's difficult to explain. Because I feel like the one-ups in JoJo are more from something that the character has done tactically more than maybe just a power that we had no idea about, or, that they were waiting to unveil at the very last moment at the, or something like that.
Okay, wait a second. I have to really stop you there because that's a little bit bullshit. Because looking at Joseph, he had the best final move that I've ever seen in an anime.
What, at the volcano, or?
When he ran away.
But see, like, that's what I mean. Like, you don't expect the fucker to run away. That was also the best part about it. He runs, and they're like, no, not even Smokey. Oh, I died at Smokey. He was like, no, not that again. It's like, you've only known him for a few months, but you know him, like, you're friends with him well enough that you're like, JoJo, please don't tell me you're going to use that move. Run away! God damn it, JoJo! But even that's the plan, because Speedwagon turns around, he's like, you son of a bitch. You know he's after you, and you're getting him away from the rest of us.
Yeah, that was sweet.
You're not a coward, damn it, playing the coward.
I know, yeah, that was such a sweet moment, because I'm happy that he understood that, or at least it's good that he mentions it, because, when he does the runaway thing, it comes off as very cowardly, and then you realize, wait a minute, the villain is usually coming after him specifically, so running away is a necessity.
And then he jumps into the warplane, and it's like, that was your plan all along, you crafty motherfucker.
Very interesting. So he knows his dad died in the war. I guess he also knows, I would assume anyway, that he also knows that his dad was a pilot.
Pilot, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, because I didn't know that, obviously. As the fans, we didn't know that until...
Right. No, I would assume that Joseph knew that his father was a fighter pilot.
Yeah. What's very interesting is, and I don't know, I don't know if you picked up on this, the fact that his dad's a fighter pilot, and interestingly enough, when Speedwagon was kidnapped by those guys, it was on a plane. Yeah. So it's very interesting. JoJo, at least this incarnation, has a lot of experience with planes. This is just kind of like as a one-off interesting fact.
Maybe not piloting them, but being in them.
Well, no, but again,
I don't know if he ever had any experience piloting a plane, but...
Well, I mean, he was able to do something.
Yeah.
Like,
I certainly hope he did, because otherwise it's like, wow, it's really lucky that I figured out how to fly this plane. Right.
No, literally just, I am super fucking lucky today.
Yeah. If they pulled something like that, then I'd be like, all right, guys, you're pushing it a little too much now.
Yeah, right.
Like, I can accept a lot of shit in this series, but I'm going to have to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was going to say was that, Yeah, but I really like how they went really over the top. I think like once they fucking shot cars into space, I was like, okay, my suspension of disbelief can go a lot higher for this show now, and I respect them for that. And the reason why is because sometimes it's very hard for my suspension of disbelief when it comes to certain shows to really be high up there, because even though it's like, oh, we're a shonen anime, but you still try to show things within somewhat of reason. Yes, male protagonist will usually go like, really far, right? Obviously, it's an anime. But like even with something like Dragon Ball Z, eventually they were like Goku's from space, and you're like, oh shit, that makes sense.
Right.
Right? Like in a way, you're like, wait, that actually puts everything in the fucking perspective. How the fuck could he do everything he's done thus far, and then do everything he does in Z if he wasn't from space? Right? So you sit there, you're like, okay, that makes sense. Yusuke, it's a little different, right? Obviously, he's still technically a middle schooler, which is why that's weird, but that's a very hard one, right? But again, he gets spiritual power. Shut the fuck up, everybody. Yeah, right? That's a message. And you're like, all right, I guess I have to shut the fuck up. Also, he has people backing him up as well, right? So it's not just him.
I had a
but for this show,
for every time Matt told me to shut the fuck up.
It'd be like I was paying you. So, so look at that. You'd be making like $40K a year. Anyway, but anyway, but like I was saying, so yeah, I don't know, man. Like I just feel like certain shows, they, even in the way they're like super shonen, right? Where it's like, oh, but Naruto, but he's a ninja. Yes, and also he has a fucking, nine-tailed fox inside of him, right? Or you have something like Bleach, where it's like, obviously, for anyone who hasn't watched Bleach, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a lineage there, right? Yeah. So, they do certain things to explain some things after a while. And yes, of course, someone might go, yeah, but Joseph has Hamon. It's like, but that doesn't mean you can fight an invincible being.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his powers that suddenly, like, yes, he does get a power boost from Caesar and that kind of thing, but, like, it's not the sense of, somehow his hormone, like, tripled at the last. It's not like he turned on, Kaioken and then shot him with a Kamehameha wave out into space, which is fine for Dragon Ball Z, but,
Well, technically, the stone did amplify his hormone so that he could not be dead in the moment, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's... Yes, and that was a quote-unquote power, but it's one of the, look, it's, you know what it is, man? It's a deus ex machina, yes, but not in the way that we all expect, where it's just like, and then all of a sudden, he became Hamon Part 2, Hamon times 2!
Yeah.
I just realized I'm super fucking British. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like the idea that as Joseph is running away, he picks up the stone. He's like, well, because I feel like it's not really, like, you're not in his head in the thought process, but at least for me, thinking of his character, his thought process is like, all right, well, it helped create him, so it might have a key or something to do with possibly destroying him.
Yes.
So it's like, let me just pick this up. It's like, I need to think of anything I possibly can. Let me just pick this up in the moment and see where it goes.
Right.
Kind of thing,
And again, what else do you have to lose at this point?
Right, exactly. He's apparently the ultimate being now, so it's like, well, fuck. I mean, even Speedwagon goes to him. It's like, yeah, dude, all you can really do is run at this point. He's like, nope, I've got a plan. What the fuck could you possibly be planning? I'm going to ram him into a volcano. Oh. Well, shit. That's what I always like. He always tries to get away at that dire moment where it's like, well, all my other bullshit plans are dead. I need something new. Give me a minute. And he'll stall and run and do whatever it takes, takes to stall.
Well,
so like, okay, I need a plan B or a C or a D or a fucking Z at this point.
Yes. What I really enjoyed about the way they explained. I know I've been calling him Ultimate and Invincible, but in actuality, they just said that he can never die. What that means is via age. It's not like if you were like, okay, if for some reason, yes, or disease. But if he was super distracted, like super duper distracted, now it wouldn't happen because it's not his character. But he's super distracted.
Right.
You could cut off his arms, his head, and separate. Like you could arguably do that. It's just that obviously he's not going to let that happen because he's going to focus on the fact that he can regenerate or try to turn his body into armor. Shit that normally would make you super overpowered and frankly not able to. But again, once he was shot into space, I was like, okay. Once JoJo survived the fall, I was like, okay, we're not dealing with we're not dealing with like a simple, oh hey, vampires can, supernatural. And you also have energy that's basically like, what people call like Gaia, or like other kind of, like, the energy of the earth, Not like that. Like, it just got to the point where it's like, no, there's ultimate beings and there's races of people that couldn't, So like all this shit, once you put all that together and then have the guy die in space, I'm like, welp.
Yeah.
Or get shot into space via a volcano and then die. I was like, well. No, but it's funny. Some people would say it jumped the shark. I would say that for a shonen anime, I'm happy you let me know where we stand.
Yeah.
Like, I got to know how shonen we're getting here.
And, oh, God, I love the fact Cars is just like, oh, Joseph, you idiot, I'll just jump off and let you fly into space. And Joseph's fucking arm shoots out and grabs him.
Yeah.
His disembodied arm hits him in the throat. He's like, and now you're going to say, tell me you planned it even this far ahead. How do you always know?
Yeah.
And then the rest of the escape, the rest of the debris from the volcano smacks Cars, and like, okay, it's loose, but like I'll take it. It's like the other stuff hits him and he reaches escape velocity. It's like volcanic eruptions can do that. It's a big eruption, and I don't know if that volcano would have had the power to reach escape velocity, but that's a whole other geological question.
Well, you know what? I'll say this much. If it did, then okay. No one around should have survived, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, even them standing in the volcano, even near the lava, they should not have been as okay as they were.
Because it would have been that hot underneath it?
Oh, it would have been that hot, yeah. You need your skin would have been melting off. You would have needed some kind of protective clothing.
But the Hamon, Smokey, I don't have that power. Speedwagon, I am also dying. Very polite as fuck. I am also quite dead. But thankfully it was JoJo. Actually, to be fair, that's all we had there, actually. We had Metal Man, and we had a Hamon user. So, because technically it wasn't, they were really far away. I forgot. Smokey and Speedwagon were very far away.
Yeah, they were not at the volcano. To be fair.
Yeah. But yeah. I have to admit, though, I really did think JoJo was going to die twice. So I'm kind of happy he didn't die. Because, again, I thought he was going to survive. I didn't realize he'd be older, but I thought he was going to survive, right? Like, that much older. But when they showed it twice, in a way, I was like, he could just be dead, man. You never know. Many of the Joe stars looks, a little bit similar here and there. They're like very, it's like their faces and their builds. Yeah. So in my head, I was like, maybe I just saw the wrong person, and I thought that was this JoJo.
Right.
Whew.
Oh God, it scared me so much when Cars actually came back out of the lava, and just it's like he comes out and slices off JoJo's arm, and it's just like, well, because at that point it's like, the lava didn't work. The fucking lava didn't fucking work.
Yeah, I don't like to acknowledge when we film episodes or like record them in advance, but we're recording this on May 4th, so literally all I could think of is dun 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 dun. dun. Like, if they didn't show who JoJo's dad was, I was like, Cars, that's his dad.
Oh, God. And
May the
then
Force be with
JoJo
you.
would be half Pillar Man. Oh, no.
It's Bleach all over again. I'm kidding.
Oh,
no spoilers. I'm kidding. Anyway, so, no, fucking JoJo would be half Pillar Man. It would make sense. Anyway, but yeah, one thing I want to admit too, by the way, so many people might go, oh, but this is bad, like the one-upsmanship, because it's been done in like Bleach, Naruto, DBZ, other shows. But like remember, well, DBZ has been going on for a while, to be fair. This is the original. This, like, yes, the anime came out in 2012, but like this came out in 1988.
Right.
Yeah, so just like a reminder to some, like, yeah.
I just feel like their one-upsmanship is used differently, or is presented differently than it is in other shonen animes.
No, I know.
Yeah,
you find it more effective. Yeah, you find it more effective to be like, oh, I'm going to try and use logic or like all these plans or whatever, you know, and it might not work, but I'm still going to try, versus like, oh, guess what? I've been saving this Hamon technique.
Yeah.
Oh, that did not work, JoJo. Well, that's fine, because I have this Hamon technique that also did not work.
And
I never thought that you'd have to let me use this Hamon technique.
And they even bring
Hamon is
in the idea,
like, you know, like, yeah.
Yeah, they even bring in the idea that it is, part of it is luck, and the other, there was something else I was going to add to that.
Next you're going to say, no, I'm sorry. But, well, you think of that, right? What do you think of that?
Yeah.
I want to say that, yeah, I do enjoy the Pillar Men. I enjoy them coming back. I hate how it seems, even though it's shown in anime that I feel like no one's ever going to actually be dead, I hate how it seems like Cars is dead forever. That's just a superhero comic book fan in me saying, like, it sucks that it's like, Cars is now in the depths of space and will never be seen again. And I'm like, that's sad. Although when you do that, when you go into it that hard, I'm like, we're going to see him again. But it still kind of sucks that, like, he's just off in the vastness of space in that way.
Yeah. I mean, that description of, like, you know, he can't move his body. It's like he's still trapped within his mind, wishing for death, until his thoughts finally petered out, and he floated away into the void.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, that's horrifying. Like,
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I guess, like, you can't really, I don't know. To say he deserves it is a little heavy-handed, but at the same time, he murdered a lot of people.
You know, it's hard for me to say. Yeah, it's hard for me to say the word "someone deserves that kind of pain and torture." But again, he didn't. He could have literally lived underground and been chill with everyone.
Yeah,
that's all. Like, literally, he could have just lived on an Earth where he would have been chill underground. You know, hanging out with everyone. You could have still had Pillar Men.
But no. Yeah,
but no.
He wanted to be a god. So.
And believe me, look, I'm cool with people who have ambition, right? We have ambition here at Those Guys on the Radio. We don't kill people. We don't want to become gods.
Pillar Men theme play.
Like, no.
That was really Cars all along.
It was I, Cars. Oh my God. But oh my God. We didn't need that, right? We didn't need that. Well, we don't need that, but like, it's just, you know, it is just crazy because, you know, thinking about this race of Pillar Men, I assume more will appear in the future because they're like, last of the Pillar Men, and I'm like, bullshit. I don't know why. Like, this show, because you know what it is, man? I always think of, like, I think of this show as, like, the ultimate callback. Like, every season, every, like, new part is just going to have something from the past come up to say hello. I mean, again, right? Oh, hey, look, that's a really nice coffin. Oh, no. Right? Right? No. You see what I mean? Like, oh, no. You know, like, hey, look, that man with the beard. Oh, wait, is that? Oh, he sounds somewhat British. Oh, no. Right? That's Joseph. Like, right? Like, you know, like, I feel like we're always going to get some kind of reference to an earlier part, which is really cool to me. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? But I assume we're going to get either more Pillar Men or Cars is going to be like, actually, you're going to be like, God fucking damn it. I don't believe we've met, Dio. You know, I don't believe we have. That would be a fun fight. But, so yeah, I do think, though, that at first I really was not into the idea that, you know, Joseph can beat up, like, essentially a god in Cars, but then he became a true god, and I was like, yeah, what are we doing here? But one thing I enjoy, right? So Cars has been alive for a long time. He was also alive in the past. However, he technically hasn't lived all these years. He's been, like, essentially stone, right? Hibernation, yes. But that's a good thing. And the reason why is because, you know, just because he's older than JoJo, it doesn't mean that he's smarter.
Yeah. I mean, he's crafty for what he's had to do to place himself in that seat of power. And even the idea is like, everything up to this moment was to get the stone, JoJo. Make no mistake. Even my comrades were my pawns. And it's like, oh, you bastard! But,
no, but what I mean is
even
that,
even
like, when
JoJo says to Straito in the first half of part 2, when he says, you know, that's why I like living on the streets. It keeps you sharp. You know, it's like I've been around in, you know, the current world. That kind of thing.
Yes, but that's my point. My point is that even though it's like Cars is 2,000 years old, but like, or something like, you know, he's been around for 2,000 years. Yes, but how long has he been asleep? Is my point. Because of course he has the power to do a lot of things, but does he have the smarts? Does he have the wit? And I like that he doesn't have both, because what I mean by that is, or at least, you know, he has a lot of hubris, because that, of course, hurts him as well. Because, yes, you can be the ultimate being, i.e. not have any, you know, like you can be supreme, not die from illness or disease or, you know, just generally, like, old age. But if you don't have the smarts to back it up, again, someone can just cut your head off and keep you in a tube somewhere. And you're like, well, I can't die, but, like, you see what I mean? So the idea that, oh, you know, like, it is nice to know that, especially when they gave that explanation of Cars, it wasn't like, and he's also very smart now for some reason. Like, no, he's still the same person he's been. So, of course, that is what hurt him in the end, because, you know, just because he's super-duper strong doesn't mean that he's smart as well. And that's what I like. Doesn't mean that he's battle-hardened, but still, that doesn't mean that he's smart. Doesn't mean that he can outwit someone else. Like, if JoJo had fought him fist to fist, fucker be dead.
Yeah.
It's that simple. At many points, you're just like, yeah, if they fight just hand to hand, JoJo will die. And like we said, that's why he has his kooky plans that allow him to stay alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something I really enjoyed about the show as well, is that Cars, even though he's the quote-unquote ultimate being, it does not make him a genius. Because I think that is when shows start to get a bit too much, too. Like, and he's the best scientist in the world. Oh, no, you stopped him. And it's kind of like, all right, if you're like, granted, scientist doesn't mean that you're good at fighting, but like still, like when you start thinking about the fact that a character could think of like so many, you know, different ways to calculate this or this or this or this, and you know, and yada yada and yada da da da, all of a sudden you kind of sit back and you're just like, yeah, why is the main character winning other than the fact that he's the main character? Like too much. So I don't think this show did that.
No.
Now, is there one thing, Tristan, that you did not like about this batch of episodes?
I would have liked it if Lisa's fight could have gone on for a little bit longer, because I really don't think we got to see just how skillful that she was, and obviously she is.
Yes.
So I would have liked if her fight had gone on for a little bit longer against Cars, even though it wasn't Cars. I mean, it felt fine that it was like, you know, they fell for the idea that, oh, it was supposed to be a fair one-on-one fight because all the others were, and they're the heroes. Of course they're going to think of it that way. It's like, yes, he's the villain, but it's like we still have this idea that it's like, you know, go ahead, throw all you have left at me. I'm the final Pillar Man. You can't beat me anyway. It's like he's prideful. That's what happens to a lot of villains. They, you know, they think they're invincible. They're overconfident. They underestimate their opponents. That's what happened to Cars against JoJo in the end anyway, you know.
And even Wamu showed some kind of warrior's code, which made you think that Cars could potentially do it too. You didn't realize how evil Cars really was until after that moment.
Exactly. And so I like how it was set up. I just wish it didn't happen so quickly. Because, again, I really would have enjoyed seeing some of Lisa's skills because she definitely has them. I mean, shit, she even had the same scarf. I mean, granted, she could manipulate Hamon through it a lot more than Straightsover did, but, like, the idea, it's like, yeah, he was my teacher, he was my adoptive father, of course I would have something like he did. And she even says to JoJo at the one point, you defeating him gives me so many mixed feelings, and we can't really talk about it right now, but I need to talk about it with you at some point.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it needed to be done, but goddamn.
One thing I want to mention about Lisa, well, two things. First off, I did mention earlier, it does suck how much she was sexualized. I do want to mention, though, that, especially for the time period, I like that she was a woman of power, though. Because I will admit, I can't think of that many series, be it not even just anime, just in general, that in the 80s would have a woman that powerful. Now, to your point, it's sad that we didn't see her show her power more. But I do think that it is pretty crazy, like in a good way, that we actually had a woman that was that powerful that could be their teacher.
Yeah. And the fact that, even in the flashback, she runs out and avenges her husband's death. Like,
yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's all another switch. Like, he's just the normal, kind of the quote-unquote average guy. He's a man in the military. Like, he's powerful, but, like, Speedwagon even says, it's like, he can't fight a ghoul. You're basically going up against a supernatural being. If you don't have Hamon, you're not gonna last. But, and word of his death reaches her, and they're like, yeah, there's something really fishy about this. She just goes all out. And it's like, nope, I'm a murder the motherfucker. I mean, granted, it backfired against her, and it was unfortunate. That was terrible that she had to go into hiding for all of that. But, just the fact that she got, I don't know. I'm happy that she avenged her husband,
Yeah. So
even
here's something that, we didn't talk about voice actors that much, actually, in this part. So I want to, before we wrap things up, not that we're wrapping things up immediately, before we do, I definitely want to point out that, holy crap, some of the voice actors. So for Joseph, we had, for the English, we had Benjamin Diskin, right? And you're like, well, who's Benjamin Diskin? He did number 1 and number 2 in Codename Kids Next Door, which, when you think about number 1, you're like, God fucking damn it, that was him the entire time.
Oh, man.
Yeah, right? Now you're like, shit. That's 1.
Yeah.
2, in Naruto Shippuden, he was Sai. So I don't know if you've seen Shippuden.
Yes.
Yeah, so he was Sai. I haven't seen the 7 Deadly Sins, which I believe is on Netflix, but he was Bon in that. And he voices a young Xehanort in Kingdom Hearts. So.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So it's just very interesting to see the stuff that he's done because, he's also in Kill la Kill as well. But no, it's really funny to me because, again, just seeing him in, he's also in One Punch Man. He was Ground Dragon. Anyway, but seeing him, hearing him here, and then hearing him, like thinking about him and Codename Kids Next Door, that's really funny. Especially because he was number 1. Because God damn it. Oh, you'd know him from Star Wars Rebels. He was TIE Pilot, number 1. Literally his. He was in Idiot's Arroy, TIE Pilot number 1, or Idiot's Arroy. That's his role.
I'll have to look out for that now.
Yeah, right? Like, I have to...
Let me see if I can find the Joseph.
He was also in the... Yeah, right? He was also in Bleach Hellverse, which is funny. But anyway, so that's his voice actor, and I'll look for some others while we talk. But yeah, no, I have to say the voice acting. I think we talked about this part last episode. Voice acting in this part was not bad at all, and it wasn't bad in the first part either. I just think that some voices were miscast, but I don't think anyone was really miscast here. I think everyone did a pretty good job. You know, the only thing that I'll say is I feel like the voice for Caesar, the actor kind of lost that accent as it went on. Now, of course, he has to emote in a different way,
Right.
like, you know, as it goes on. But I do feel like eventually it was kind of lost a little bit. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, I feel like it's harder to keep that kind of thing up when it's a battle scene, especially. I feel
Very
like when
much-
they
yes,
were
very
just
much so.
conversing between each other, like, or if he was on the sidelines, like, it was easier to keep up the accent. But like once you're actually voicing a fight, then it becomes a bit more difficult.
Yeah, unless that's your real accent. And
Yeah,
so
right.
yes, and this is and his actor is Bryce Papenbrook, who some of you may know him as Eren from Attack on Titan. Of course, he was Caesar. He was also in Seven Deadly Sins. He was Meliodas, and he was also Red in Pokemon Origins.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so if anyone knows of, and of course he was Masaomi Kida in Durarara.
Right.
Yes. He was also a young Vash the Stampede. Well, shit. Well, I did not know that. And a bunch of other roles that I'm not going to name right now. He was Ukulele Man in Space Dandy. That one I kind of have to just have to put that out there. He was he was Marugori in One Punch Man as well. Anyway, but yeah, I really can't complain about the voice acting, which is something that I definitely did in season 1. Yes, in this season you can kind of, or at least in part 1. Yes, in part 2 you can kind of tell a little bit that some people aren't there. Like their voice, they're putting voices on, like putting accents on, but I don't know, just something. I guess because now that I know some of their other roles, I'm like, oh shit, you did this here, right? But to me, it still doesn't come off as just Johnny Young Bosch. Like, I'm sorry, I love the guy, I really do, but just hearing Johnny Young Bosch, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like it was very much I'm trying to think of how to word this. It was very much like, yes, you are Johnny Young Bosch. That's clearly you. I know it is. Right?
Right.
But yeah, and Smokey's actor, not really anything else that, sadly nothing else that I can really point out that people may have heard before. Robbie Damon, by the way. I thought he said 92 for a second. I was like, his birthday, I was like, he's as old as I am. Wrong, 35. But yeah, did you actually like the voice acting? Because I know you originally saw it subbed, so I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, originally it's funny, I was so connected to the voice actor that did Joseph in the sub because it was the same voice actor that in Japanese did Gin's voice from Gintama. So, and I love that actor so much. So, like, going from that to, a dub version, I was kind of like, it's just not doing it for me. But the more I've watched it, I've watched it, this is my probably second or third time through, with you for the show, I'm like, all right, no, you know what, they did a good job. I was a little too harsh on them the first time around, so.
Well, because you only saw clips.
Yeah.
You only saw clips from what you told me, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah. So, because I'm sure, I think when I first saw the clips too, I was a little like, ooh, and I haven't really even seen the dubs. I don't know, it just seemed off to me. One thing I want to mention is Dan Warren, who is the voice actor for Stroheim. Something funny about him, or Stroheim. He was credited as W.T. Falk. I don't know why I'm assuming because, being a Nazi soldier, maybe you want to be credited differently. But something really funny about him is that looking at some of his roles, he was actually Byakuya in Bleach, and some stuff that you're like, oh shit, really? Do you remember that Dragon Ball GT game, Final Bout?
Yes.
He was Piccolo.
God damn it.
Also, he was in some Power Ranger shows at some, funny enough, as some, just bad guys that, like some of the random monsters of the week. And he was also Yagi, I believe it's Yagi, in the 1986 Fist of the North Star. Yes. So he's been around, right? He's definitely been around. But but I think it's very interesting. Oh, God, he was Boatman in Naruto. And he was a hit-and-miss ninja. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so
the worst
now
part
he's
of
the
it
best
is
voice
I
actor
know
ever.
who you're talking about when you say that.
I say Boatman, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Yeah, I just wanted to, talk about the voice actors because I do think they, the English ones, I do think they deserve a little bit of a shout out because I know that, a lot of the times, and even us, will be like, ooh, that wasn't good, or oh, that wasn't good.
Yeah.
The only thing that I will say that about this show that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here. I feel like some of the actors that they get sound very samey. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah,
some of the
I
actors
know what
very
you mean.
much sound like deep-voiced white man.
Right.
Just like out of nowhere, I'll be hearing like even some of the Pillar Men just sound very similar. To the point where, like, if I closed my eyes, it would be hard to pick out some of them.
Right.
Like Wamu, I was like, okay, yes, that's Wamu. I was able to kind of tell. But, like, then you hear Cars, and then also, like, even just hearing, even though he's not a Pillar Man, Dio, I think AC/DC a little bit, San Viento, like, just in general, like, they sounded some of them sounded very similar at some point, so it was real strange, I think. Like, really trying to, like, sit there and be like, okay, let me, let me try to, like really kind of differentiate who's who. And then eventually, of course, like, it got better, I think, like, as you heard more of them. But a lot of, like, certain characters just sound, unless they're, like, British or someone trying to be British or, Italian, very, very, very similar. That's just my take on it.
Yeah. No, I can see what you mean.
Yeah. Let's see. Just looking at what's going on here. Yeah, I want to see who's who. Yeah, a lot of voice actors, who played the Pillar Men. That again, Cars was Will Barrett, Wamu was George C. Cole, and San Viento was Kaiji Tang. A little confused because apparently they were like, oh yeah, he's Vegeta in Dragon Ball Super, and I'm like, what? I was a little confused for a second. I'm like, in what dub? Well, I'm like, not Funimation's. I'm like, what? Who's dub?
Right, yeah.
So I'm wondering in what dub. Because sometimes they'll make other American dubs, or American, I'm an idiot. I'm such a fucking idiot, excuse me. English dubs for other countries and for other territories. Not even referring to the obvious, like, ocean dub. Referring to, like, you could go to Hong Kong right now and probably watch a different dub of, like, Dragon Ball Super.
Right.
Yes, I was right. So, Kaiji Tang, or Keiji, whichever one, Kaiji Tang voices Vegeta in the Toonami Asia dub of Super.
Okay. Right.
So they literally have a completely different voice, like actors for Dragon Ball Super and other Dragon Ball movies and shows too, compared to Funimation. How crazy is that to think about, right? It's still an English dub. But for anyone who's in, I think Toonami Asia, like, refers to, like, Toonami, like, Hong Kong or other territories that are predominantly English-speaking, they'll just show that dub.
Right.
And it's just like, isn't that weird? Like, in theory, right, you could, license a show for Mexico only, but not dub it into Spanish. You can just release an English version. And if the market wants it, the market takes it. That's what I'm saying. That's crazy about it. Like, you can have, like, you can just basically walk up to Toei and be like, hey, here's a buttload of money. I don't know how much that would be, but here's a buttload of money.
Here's a
I want to license
ton of money.
Yeah, right. I want to license this for region X, right? And they'd be like, I don't think that exists. No, but seriously, for like this region, you just release it in English. And there'll just be like multiple dubs of like Dragon Ball Z or like other shows. As long as you're not releasing it in America, because Funimation owns it in America, you can do that. Strange food for thought. Anyway, but yeah, back to the show itself. As we're kind of wrapping things up. Yeah, I did like the fight between JoJo and Wamu. I didn't really understand the premise because it was like, oh, we're chariot racing. And I was like, oh, that's different. To the death. And I was like, okay, now that's more apparent. Yes, of course, you're fighting on the chariots. That makes sense. Why would you just race? No, because I wouldn't put it past JoJo's Bizarre Adventure to just start racing. You know? No, I'm being serious. I wouldn't put it past them to just be like, hey, let's just start a really huge race, and then that's it. Right? Like, boom, there we go. So, Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them to just what?
Nothing.
Am I foreshadowing without knowing?
No.
All right. I'm just trying to say that, like, instead of it being a fight, I would be a little upset if it was just like, we're going to race to the finish.
Right.
And that's all I'm saying. Anyway, but yeah, so I was actually happy that they fought on the chariots, because I was like, are we really just going to do this right now?
Yeah.
But yeah. So how did you feel about that fight? Did you think it was maybe unneeded? Would you rather had a traditional fight, or?
No, I enjoyed that fight.
Oh,
especially since, Caesar had his fight with Wamu and how that ended, and just Joseph coming back in, no, I'm going to settle this.
Right.
Because, Joseph even goes in, he's like, you see the ring? It's like, I haven't taken the antidote yet because I promised Caesar I'd kick your ass for him. It's like, oh, shit. You will literally die if you do not drink that. I'm going to hold off. Excuse me?
Yeah. I mean, shit, man.
Yeah.
that was very interesting. Yeah, development.
Not to, I don't know, not to say it's like your best friend had to die but it certainly lit a fire under Joseph's ass,
Very much so. I'll say that much, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And
so. Oh, yes.
Even
please.
Just, I guess the little twists and turns here and there between Wamu and Joseph were really good, too, because, Cars is kind of laughing the whole time. It's like, Wamu is, a strategical fighting genius. It's like something like 12,000 years, I think he was saying. Wamu had said it's like 12,000 years of victory. All, unfortunately, it goes down to, all brought down to this. And then even with Wamu, pulling out the final stop, the atmospheric rift. It's like yes, he's been holding that power back, but even Cars was like, no, not that one. It's like you'll literally rip yourself apart if you use that one. It's like yes, because that's his final trump card. It's like he will attain. That's his whole reason for being, victory. Even if I die, I will still obtain victory. If I'm going to die,
exactly.
I'm going to die victorious.
Exactly. And, one thing I also liked is how every single one of the Pillar Men, just thinking of, him shooting that arrow out, how they all have that ability from the looks of it, or at least Cars and Wamu do. So I think that was also very interesting, just to be able to shoot the arrow out, because then, of course, you have Cars trying to use that in space, and then that's what kills him in the end. Or one of the things that, helps show you, oh, shit, he's freezing. In space.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Right.
But yeah, Wamu saying that, 1,200 years, it does make you really question, because, I don't know, maybe I wasn't following it close enough. I don't know their timeline. I know they were asleep, but, how long were they around before sleep? Did they just live, because, I guess maybe they fought each other, before shit went down, right, with Cars. Maybe they just fought each other, we can't technically die unless we really try hard, so let's just train and spar, and we'll be a society that can fight if we need to, but isn't going out and killing all the humans.
Well, because it seemed like there was a period where Cars and AC/DC were training Wamu and San Viento at some point, because they make the point that, him and an associate escape with the last two children, and it's those kids are Wamu and San Viento. Right.
Exactly. It does. It feels that way because, I just assume that does it mean that? Again, I know it jumped the shark, so it's fuck it. They jumped the shark so hard, or at the very least they went over the top so much that it doesn't matter how old Cars was, because either way, JoJo beats a god. But still, in my head, I thought that the way they made it seem like, his hubris and the fact that he isn't as as crafty as JoJo, despite his, how old he is, quote unquote. It's he's been sleeping most of that time, but apparently not. Maybe. I thought he was sleeping most of the time.
Yeah, I think they themselves are even older, because I feel like Wamu has been in chariot races before. So
well, that's true. Yes.
I'm gonna say like
But,
you know, past ancient Greece, ancient Rome, like stuff like that, even further back.
So give me a number. Can you give me a number?
I not at this exact moment. No.
No, I'm only asking because like I'm actually curious because it's like they've been asleep for 2,000 years, right? So like that's why I'm trying to like in my head I'm like, what are numbers? Numbers. Let's crunch some numbers. That's why I'm like, how long? Like how long do they exist before then? How long is everything? Anything? Because like humans were around, so it's like post dinos.
How long the Pillar Men existed on their own?
True.
Because cars had to grow up too.
True, you're right.
He put his whole plan into motion. So.
Of course.
I would say
a lot
as long
mystery.
as people, maybe maybe not ancient people, but like, I mean, prehistoric people.
I know. Yeah.
Well, I need to clarify that. So, they could be as far back as just humanity itself. Possibly.
Yeah.
So.
Possibly. No. Again, we don't know. And frankly, like, I hope maybe in the future we can get clarification on that, or if there's like a JoJo Bizarre Adventure like guide, that'd be cool. But yeah, as of right now, we just assume that they were just like, hey, they've been they've been around as long as people have. I think that was a quote, and I'm like, oh, okay. How long is that? Also, again, Pillar Men have, but like, have they? Because there were like not many babies were born. It doesn't mean that no babies were born.
Right.
You know. Also, I don't know how they age versus how we age, to be fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, not sure about that. Don't really know much about them other than JoJo beat like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, when it comes to you at like that, you're like, okay, maybe Alicia should have gotten like 1 fight in.
Yeah.
Just saying, maybe there should have been like 5 Pillar Men, and Lisa could have killed like 1.
Because, yeah, well, yeah, oh wow, yeah, because JoJo finishes all 3 of them.
Yeah, and the first one, it doesn't hit you, because you're like, oh, he was too much of a fucking idiot, like in a way, right? Like he was too inexperienced. No, because he was, because like he really didn't like AC/DC, as much as I love the name, didn't really live up to how cool his name is, right? So he dies. And then we have Wamu next, who like I thought at least we could have, even though they were setting that up with JoJo, still the story kind of made it feel like you could take both of them out at once, and then it'd be like, now we have to go fight Kaz because your sacrifice.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. So then JoJo beats him, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. But then it's just like, oh, Lisa has to deal a final, like at least some kind of blow to Kars to help weaken him up for JoJo. Wrong.
Yeah. She
doesn't do that, and then Stroheim makes him stronger. Again, right, I acknowledge, we have to take this, we have to like raise our level of disbelief higher than we ever have before, and I mean that in a good way. But yeah, like it would have been nice to have one more Pillar Man that Lisa could have just knocked the fuck out. That would have been nice.
Right. Yeah.
Just saying. Yeah.
I mean, I would have liked to see Caesar take one down too, but yeah.
We don't need 6. That's too many. That like is literally like a little. That's a mini army, dude.
Yeah.
Although I got to admit, if there was 5 and then that one killed Caesar and then she killed that one, I know someone might be like, well, JoJo needs his revenge on Caesar. It's like, why? Like, I know that they were good friends but like they weren't brothers. Like, granted, they knew each other for like a few months and they trained really hard, but like Lisa like helped raise that kid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if some kind of supernatural being killed you, Matt, I would want to avenge you.
We know each other for 10 years. You should.
But we haven't trained with each other.
Damn it, you're right. When he's right, he's right, everybody.
If we don't have a training arc, Matt, I'm sorry, I can't avenge you.
Damn it. Well, we got to train together, man. Otherwise, you can't avenge me. But seriously though, like I'm not saying that they couldn't have been friendly with each other, and you're very much like brothers. But again, like brothers, where again, like Lisa helped raise, in a way, like Little Caesar. By the way,
and that's why I love in that scene where they're looking where Caesar's died. Lisa's like, no, JoJo, now's not the time to mourn. We have to go after cars. Like, let's go. And JoJo's just like, in his head, he's like, of course she wants to cry. She's known him for much longer than I have. Like you said, even helped raise him. She was his mentor. She must be incredibly broken up inside. But all he says is, Coach, you put your cigarette in backwards. And she just snaps it and throws it away. Oh man, that was a perfect way to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that was sad. But I just wanted to mention that I wanted to now I've forgotten. Now I'm sad, Tristan. Thank you. I have completely forgotten anything I wanted to ask you. Now I'm just overall generally sad.
You should be.
Fair enough. But yeah, they should have had another Pillar Man. I feel like there should have been something there. And, what I was going to say was that I would have preferred, I think, Caesar to be less like a dick. Like, yes, I can understand him being antsy later, but I don't know. I felt like I was kind of happy with, like, JoJo being, like, an overt dick and Caesar not understanding him because he's a bit more refined. But then eventually he started showing some characteristics, too, that I was like, you shouldn't be doing this. You're Caesar. Like, I'm sure the thought is, no, they're both the same coin, just different sides.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I imagine.
Like to me.
I know, but
or
early
the
on,
idea.
It just felt like he was more refined than JoJo. And then as the show goes on, I feel like he's less refined. I don't know, when I think of him with that girl in the restaurant, I think of him as refined compared to JoJo, who is just like, what's this black stuff over here? You see what I'm saying? Like, he was a lot more like, hey, how you doing? And he's just like, oh, my goodness, what is this? Like, just yelling, causing a fuss in Italy.
Right.
I don't know. I felt like he was more refined. And then as the show went on, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of, like, him not being as refined. Again, I'm cool with him being antsy later because he wants to kill that guy. Of course he does. Right.
Avenge
also,
his father and his
grandfather.
grandfather.
Yes, of course. And it's also sad that Caesar gets that other guy killed. And yes, it's sort of Caesar.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and the idea, like, Caesar's more refined, I wouldn't agree with that because even with Caesar's backstory, it's like, he's a total street punk. And he's just, like, and that's where you first meet him, he's just, like, even JoJo says it, it's like, I can't believe a modern woman would fall for that flowery bullshit. It's like, he's a playboy. Not going to lie. That's what Caesar is.
But you can still be refined as a playboy.
I guess.
Well, okay. But wait a minute. So you're telling me that, how are you doing, beautiful? The same as, like, get your fucking tits over. Like, that's a difference. There's a difference.
No, I did not.
One is more refined than the other. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
one is more refined than the other. Joseph is more like, hey, get you freaking, over here. But, like, even though he'd be more British with it. Caesar's more like, how are you doing, gorgeous? Now, again, of course you can have Joseph say, it's all the same bullshit. It's still bullshit. But that's what I'm saying. One is, like, even if you say the same side of the same coin, different sides, one is still more refined or more calculating in a different sense. Like, more structured, if you will. So when he starts breaking down his structuredness, but again, not later when he's, like a little, like, obviously he's freaking out because he wants to avenge his family. I'm talking about a little bit before that. There was just certain things, I can't recall them now in the moment, but there were certain things that he did that felt more like that's something that he wouldn't do, or what the character they showed. But again, of course, when they show that, he used to be a street punk, but he's reformed now, so he's not a street punk, so we can't hold him to the same street punk standard. But he's not a street punk anymore. Like, Joseph is more of a, even though a lot better than he's a lot better of a person than Zeppeli was, than Caesar was, but Joseph's also in a way a street punk. Yeah, just a lot nicer. like a fucking lot nicer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so unless there's anything you want to say specifically, like maybe we could wrap things up. I'm thinking. I'm thinking of everything we've said. Thinking of this part. I'm pretty sure we're done. Unless there's anything you want to say about it before we finish.
I think we're good.
All right, so I want to thank you all for listening in. As always, love you guys so much. Happy listening to us discuss JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and be very careful of squirrels, man. Those squirrels, you know.
Oh God.
They're coming for you. They'll destroy you. I don't know what to say about the squirrels, man. Just like they existed, and I think we need to just remember the squirrels. We have like a graphic for like that one squirrel that died. I will remember you place. But yeah, I want to thank you all. Love you guys. Hope you have a good night. Want to mention that, of course, if you want to get some of our lovely merchandise, you can go over to our main website, which is tgproduction.net/merchandise, or over to our eBay, which is /ThoseGuysRadio. You could also go over to our Facebook, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, our Twitter, which is @ThoseGuysRadio, and our Instagram, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. If you want to get any updates on our podcast and our Let's Plays, you can go to our Those Guys Play YouTube channel, search up Those Guys Play to find our Let's Plays there. Go and search up our old podcast, either through our Blog Talk Radio account, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, our YouTube, which is Those Guys on the Radio, search that up, or our iTunes, which is Those Guys. You can search that up and find our older podcasts on there as well. Also, go to our Patreon account, which is TG Productions, and you can get a lot of cool stuff with a lot of cool tiers and help us be us. So thank you all. Love you guys, and I hope you have a good night. Say good night, Tristan.
Good night, everyone.